Okay. Good afternoon. Good morning for those on the other side of the continent. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for today's webinar session as we explore the potential of harnessing digital technologies for emergency preparedness and response to food crisis. My name is Abshwa Gabru, Emergency Rehabilitation Officer for FAO Regional Office for Africa, and I'll be your moderator for today's exciting webinar session. As we well know, African food systems are facing increasing risk and vulnerability, which erodes development gain and increase the magnitude of food insecurity. The webinar event is to discuss on how through digital technologies, African countries can be more innovative, agile in emergency preparedness and response, and build resilient agri-food systems. The session includes a keynote presentation, which will underline the potential of digitalization in agriculture and the different tools available for leveraging digital technologies for emergency preparedness and response to food crisis. A panel will deliberate on highlights countries' experience with digital technologies in the agriculture sector for emergency preparedness and resilience for farmers and rural communities. Then the floor will be opened for continued discussion and sharing best practices and experiences from countries for innovative tools and technologies to respond adequately to emergency and preparedness for resilient agri-food system. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite Ken Loheto to set the scene for today's presentation. Ken, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, dear Abisho. Dear colleagues, it's a pleasure to be here at this session with you. So I'm going to share my screen. I hope you can see it. Give me one moment and it should be fine. Yeah. Oops. Okay. So I would like to talk to you quickly about how we are using digital tools at FAO to address food crisis and to also support situation of emergency. And I will be bringing insight from two projects that we are working on, which are the emergency project, I will talk about it, and also another one that we call the SEPAREF project. So as you know, we have in our region a lot of challenges in terms of in terms of food security and in terms of resilience. And many African countries, notably in the Horn of Africa, and also in Central Africa, are facing very harsh food security and food insecurity and human security issues as well. And as we know, there are several reasons for that. And some of them, for example, I would like to mention, the first one is clearly, if I want to mention an international reason, it is the war that is happening in Ukraine, as we know, has led to high food prices, high seed prices as well. And we also have an ongoing inflation in many countries since the COVID-19 pandemic particularly. And we also have resurgent conflict in many regions of the continent, unfortunately. And finally, we have the climate change issue. And the result is that currently in many countries, many parts of our population are facing food insecurity. For example, if you take the case of DRC Congo, we have more than 22 million of people who are facing acute food insecurity situations. And if you take the case of South Sudan, for example, more than 50% of the population is facing or are facing high level of acute food insecurity according to the IPC measure. So we're saying IPC phase 3 or above. So it is more or less against this backdrop that we are trying to see how we can leverage digitalization to a bit help mitigate some of those situations. We know very well, and as you also know, that digitalization or digital tools are only tools, and they can only contribute to addressing that challenges. But since the COVID-19 pandemic, and if we remember how they have provided a buffer and a resilience to the communities, we think that it is useful to leverage those tools to help address those food insecurity and emergency situations. And I want to mention two projects that we are working on in which, in the framework of which we are leveraging digitalization. The first one is called the SEPAREF project, by the way, I would like to specify that I will be talking about two projects that we are implementing with the support of the African Development Bank. And the first one that I'm mentioning, the full name is Strengthening Emergency Preparedness and Response to Food Crises, particularly in Burundi, Comoros, Somalia, and South Sudan. And it aims at to increase agricultural production, productivity, and resilience of agricultural production system in those countries. So it is actually it's not a digitalization project. It's first of all a project that is supporting seed production, but we have a number of digital activities in it to try to leverage the opportunity offered by those technologies. It is a project that is actually supported by the AFDB in the framework of their program that they call African Emergency Food Production Facility. And in that framework, we are working on early warning systems, also supporting a bit farmer registry. The second project that I would like to mention is the project EmergenSys, which is in full, it is leveraging digital system for emergency preparedness and response to food crisis. We are doing that project in order to better leverage digitalization to support these issues, because as I mentioned in the first case, we don't have a lot of digitalization activities in the SEPAREF project. So the EmergenSys project is coming to some sort of to like complement a bit what we could have done in terms of digitalization in that separate project. So we have two key components in the EmergenSys project, and in component 1 and 2 particularly, we are leveraging strongly farmer e-registries, e-vouchers, also trying to strengthen early warning systems through digital tools. We are also going to strengthen the seed system, notably by digitizing some of its processes. Now, I would like to highlight some key tools that we may use when we are trying to address food crisis and emergency through digitalization. And we can identify 3 key areas in which we can use those tools. The first area may be relating to beneficiary information and management platform. The second one could be climate hazard solutions. And then we have the third area of intervention that could be related to all agri-food resilience support program. We have a cross-cutting area that is related to policy, knowledge management, etc. And we have a variety of tools that we can use in that area. We have, for example, the entitlement management platform. For example, the BEAMS platform in Somalia that we are working on. We have the IDEA platform that we are using in different countries. We have what we call the FEMUS that we are also using in order to address fall army worms. We have the e-locust platform In terms of agri-food resilience support program, you have a variety of them, so from farmer registry to platform supporting advisory services, market access, supply chain management, etc. So these are some of the tools that we may use to address that issue. And my colleague, when they will be talking, they will be illustrating how these tools in specific condition can work. So I will stop here, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, Ken, for this enlightening presentation and setting the scene. At this point, with no further ado, let's proceed straight into our panel discussion and get different experiences of digital platform from across countries. Let's go to countries now. To start off, we would like to hear the experience of FAO Comoros. I would like to invite to the floor Mr. Nizigimana, FAO Deputy Representative for Comoros, Seychelles, and Madagascar. Over to you. You are muted. Please unmute your mic. Mr. Nigiziyama, you are muted. Okay, let me unmute.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but can you put your slides in presentation mode?
Okay. How to?
Yes, I think you have to go to paramètres d'affichage on the top. Yes, to the right, the next one, the next one. There should be a
Paramètres d'affichage.
paramètres d'affichage. Can you see it?
I don't see.
Maybe can you try to reshare the presentation again? And let's see.
Yeah, let me see how to do. Okay. This is okay? Now?
It's not on presentation mode.
But it is better that you can now put it on presentation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not in the presentation mode.
Yes. Maybe if you can.
You see it?
Yes, I think we see it. I think you can go ahead with the presentation for the second.
C'est là-bas. Là où vous avez touché tout à l'heure.
Here.
Yes.
It gives no.
Or maybe I can share your screen. I can share your presentation if you don't mind.
Share it.
Okay. Let me quickly go to your presentation. I think it is this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is true that it's not always easy to leverage this platform.
So, okay, my name is Alois Nizigimana, and I'm the deputy of FAO representative in Madagascar, Comoros, Mauritius, and Seychelles. I'm going to share with you the FAO support for the digital agriculture and the early warning system in Comoros. You can go to Okay, go to the next. No, this one. So not this one.
Yes.
Yeah. So the current situation of early warning and anticipatory action system and digital agriculture in Comoros is very weak, but there is a general directorate of civil security in Comoros which coordinates the disaster risk management. There is a digital fishing platform. So the National Fisheries Monitoring Center exchange information with the other Indian Ocean countries. And there is a volcano monitoring center and the National Agency for Civil Aviation and Meteorology of the Union of Comoros collects meteorological data, which are shared with the General Directorate of Civil Security in Comoros for the dissemination. There are weather stations in several seats of Comoros, but no regular data collection. A Comorian household can access to a basic phone without mobile internet. The use of mobile money transfer services is a vector of adoption of mobile equipment. No regular bulletin on early warning and anticipatory action in Comoros, but in the event of disasters, the Directorate of Civil Security uses radio and television messages and communication with local associations to inform the population. No early warning system and anticipatory action for agriculture and livestock in Comoros. So, national epidemiological surveillance network for cross-border diseases for livestock is one of the service of the Ministry of Agriculture. And there is also a digital platform that is not yet functional. Next slide, please. So what FAO does in Comoros as technical support in digital agriculture and early warning and anticipatory action. So FAO make capacity building of the Ministry of Agriculture for the operationalization of the digital platform for data management, collection and sharing information, and e-registration. FAO also make capacity building of early warning and anticipatory action committees in interpreting information on weather, climate, and other hazard forecasts and development of anticipatory action plans for agriculture and livestock. Each committee will be equipped with a phone with an early warning anticipatory action application, allowing to directly access information by SMS. Next. The diagram show the approach used by the Committee of Early Warning Anticipatory Action. Firstly, the data are collected from the DGSM and the ANASM. The DGSM is the Directorate of Civil Society, and ANASM is the Meteorological Service. They give the data on weather and the climate forecast information, and we collect also data on other hazards. These data are updated to make them more understandable by the early warning anticipatory action committees. And after, the FAO and the Ministry of Agriculture will share the meteorological, climate, and other hazard information to the early warning anticipatory action committees, accompanied by capacity building concerning the interpretation of information and development of anticipatory action plan for agriculture and livestock. And this local early warning committee at municipal level are going to share the information and adapted anticipatory action plan at the local level to the community. And this will allow the local community to adapt the agriculture and the livestock to the hazards or to the disaster, the climate forecast. In the other hand, the local community provide information concerning the consistency between the weather forecast and reality, the information of the price and availability of food at local level, and other hazards like crop and or animal diseases, and information on agricultural production after the harvest. And this information is used by the government for the decision making and for the IPC analysis. This is the activities that we make with we want to share with you on what we do with the Ministry of Agriculture in Comoros. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much for this excellent presentation and also keeping the time. Now let's move on to another experience sharing from country level. We'll hear the experience of FAO Somalia to be shared by Mr. Chemeno, Head of Information and System Management, FAO Somalia. Over to you.
Thank you, Abesho, and thank you, colleagues and our audience online. So I'll quickly share my screen, and then we can listen to the experience from Somalia. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Perfect, we can see it. Please go ahead.
Great, great. So as you heard from Abesho, my name is Kiprotich Chemweno, and I'm the Head of Information and Systems Management and Digital Innovation from FAO Somalia. So in Somalia, we have challenges that exist in most other countries in terms of digitization and ensuring that we catch up with the rest of the world in terms of ensuring that we have tools that can be able to help government and also help the humanitarian actors to be able to support the people of Somalia. So at FAO Somalia, we have a beneficiary information management system that's called the e-platform, and it is wide in terms of its reach. As you can see, it has very many indicators. It has indicators from various sectors, from livestock, fisheries, and agriculture, which is the main mandate of FAO across the world. And also currently, this system has been in operation for quite some time, since 2011. Of course, it started out as just a forms management application, but now it's turned out to be a fully fledged ecosystem of applications that is used for various functions, as we'll see in a short while. So within Somalia, we have partnered with various actors, including telecommunication companies, local NGOs, the government, various ministries, led by the Ministry of Agriculture and Irrigation, and also private sector, agro dealers who deal with various inputs. So the main benefits of this e-platform, or the Beneficiaries Information Management System, is that it has provided efficiency in delivery of assistance by FAO Somalia to the people of Somalia, mainly the farming communities. And also it has ensured that there is accountability to affected populations, and also mainstreaming of prevention of sexual exploitation and abuse through a grievance redress mechanism, or a GRM approach, because one of the modules of the application is a compliance, complaints, and feedback system. It's also allowed FAO to be able to reach the intended beneficiaries, because sometimes through post-aid diversion, it is possible to not reach the intended beneficiaries, but this application has been very helpful. It's also ensured that the cost of delivery is low, because of using various strategies, like using facial verification and voice verification instead of other forms of verification that are more expensive, like fingerprints. Lastly, it's also transparent and has provided accountability in delivery. So far, we have over 3.8 million people registered under this platform, which are mainly farming households. So in terms of the system modules and functions, as you can see, it's quite wide. It's made up of about 6 main modules, from ODK, which is the Open Data Kit, that is a free, that's open source system that's available online. And also the BIMS, the Beneficiary Information Management System, which is the engine or the main part of this e-platform. Also the financial management module, which is part of the module of the ecosystem that allows for disbursement approval process, and the BIMO, which is also a tablet system for verification and disbursement of entitlements, and the compliance, complaints, and feedback mechanism, the COCO, that I mentioned, is a GRM, or grievance redress mechanism application, and the third-party monitoring tool, TIMO, and also we have various dashboards that run on Power BI. So in terms of the modules, it has a registration module, a data quality assurance, just to make sure that the data that is handled and that's used for disbursement generation is good quality and complete and valid. Also a disbursement generation, disbursement approval, monitoring, various reports, as you can see, and also heard from my previous explanation on the dashboard. So we provide various reports to help various project managers to make decisions. We also reconcile, especially assistance that's being provided, to make sure that there is a balance from what is intended and what is actually achieved, and also the e-voucher or electronic vouchers that we use to provide assistance that's mainly through agro dealers. And then biometrics verification, mainly using facial verification and also voice verification. So voice verification, we use it mainly in hard to reach areas. You will most likely be aware that Somalia has some areas that are really difficult to reach because of actors that are against the government. So in those areas, we deploy the voice verification, and then we deploy facial verification in other safe areas that we can be able to reach. And both of these have advantages, that they are cheap or low cost modalities of biometrics, and quite accurate in terms of ensuring that the intended beneficiaries are reached. Also a very strong messaging component within the e-platform or within the ecosystem of these applications, and a compliance and feedback mechanism that allows FAO Somalia to be able to manage risks effectively. So just zeroing in on one of the functions, the e-voucher modality that FAO Somalia has successfully utilized over the years. I'll quickly just mention the features and also the workflow. So in terms of the workflow, we start by registering beneficiaries from the field using an elaborate registration tool that has, of course, built-in consent solicitation from the beneficiaries. Then once we have that data from the beneficiaries, we clean that data through a quality assurance process, and then we generate disbursements after ensuring that, of course, there is enough funding, or there's enough budget to be able to provide these forms of assistance. So there's a level of approval that we do on the disbursement list that has been generated, just making sure that the list contains beneficiaries who are the actual intended beneficiaries and who qualify for assistance. And most of these are farming communities or farming households. And next, we do mobilization of beneficiaries through SMS and also through voice messages, because sometimes we realize that we have farming community members who are not literate enough to be able to read SMSs. So we send them voice messages in Somali language or the local dialect of the Somali language. Then once that is done, then we now provide the assistance after doing verification, and we disburse those assistances. So this is the process that we follow, that although it is highly summarized, but this is the overall workflow. In terms of the features and benefits, the electronic voucher modality within Somalia using the e-platform has allowed us to be able to minimize contact with and between beneficiaries, especially during COVID season. And this proved very useful tool to be able to still continue to reach our beneficiaries or participants in the farming communities without putting them into danger. And we also have reached very high accuracy levels in ensuring that we are getting the intended beneficiaries and avoiding any aid diversion through fraud or even post-aid diversion. Also, a very strong involvement of the private sector. As I mentioned, we utilize the agro-dealer networks to provide the seeds, fertilizer, tools, and other agricultural inputs, including tractor hours and also irrigation hours. So ensuring that private sector is involved has also made sure that it's rejuvenated the private sector within Somalia, injecting capital within the business community. Also using the e-voucher modality, we have robust means of proving that the distribution has happened and to whom distribution has been done, and where the distribution has happened. And one of the ways that we do this is through GPS-enabled photos that we collect as distribution evidence photos.
Mr. Chimeno, can we wrap up, please?
Yes,
can
yes, Abisha.
Okay.
Yeah. So next we have data protection also that is quite elaborate, and also we are in the process of integrating this e-voucher with the e-registry through the SEPAREF project that Ken mentioned earlier. I think I already mentioned the biometrics, the face and the voice, so I'll not repeat. That's it. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for this fascinating presentation and in a challenging context. I think now let's move to Mr. Nyombe, National Project Officer from FAO South Sudan, to present the experience of South Sudan. Over to you, Mr. Nyombe.
Oh, thank you so much, Abesho. Good morning, good evening, colleagues. Just try to upload my presentation.
Mr. Nyombe, if you can manage in 5 minutes, please, your presentation. Yes. Okay, thank you.
Sorry. Is my presentation on?
No. Should I share it? Should I share your presentation?
I think I have it somewhere.
So I suggest that I share yours so that we, okay, it's coming, I guess.
So is it on?
Yes, Maurice, maybe you can put it on presentation mode. If not yet, yes, there.
I've lost it again.
And Maurice, put it on in presentation mode, and then you can start your presentation.
Sorry, Ken, if you can just share the presentation, I think I can just, I'm having some challenges here. Okay, so colleagues, probably I'll just start off.
Yeah.
So just quickly, just as a way of introduction, South Sudan has a high potential for agricultural productivity or production, over 80% of arable land, but with less than just 4% under cultivation. There are also several challenges affecting the agri sector, such as low production and productivity, poor roads, climate variability, just to mention but a few. But also conflict issues, which also affects access to farmlands. The population is estimated at about 11 million, with this about 73% makes up of the youthful population under the age of 30. So this just goes to, a long way to share the potential of the country in terms of, the human, the manpower for agriculture. Now, through the support from the African Development Bank, FAO, on behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, developed digital innovation platforms, or the Farm Magic, for both farmers e-registry and voucher management system. Now, the idea here is to harmonize a database of key actors in the agri-sector, such as the farmers, the seed producers, traders, and others, to facilitate synergies, but also complementarities between the various actors in the agri-sector. This also includes, for instance, government agencies and resource partners. Now, with these innovation platforms, or digital platform, the key challenges that are being addressed here, one is to harmonize and improve database for farmer registry, efficient input distribution systems and resource allocation, and also to enhance market information and access. Next slide, please. With a farming population of about 1.3 million, which makes up farmers in South Sudan, under this project and overall under the Agricultural Emergency Food Production Facility for African Development Bank, the project is targeting about 250,000 farmers. Now, this project is implementing this through a phased rollout using mobile and also web application for registration of farmers and also managing the e-vouchers. The innovation integrates certain features, including biometric registration and verification, and this is to enhance transparency and also efficiency. It also integrates geomapping for tracking beneficiaries and resource distribution, but also data analytics for better planning and policy making. There are also ongoing trainings for seed producers, government extension officers, agro dealers, among others, to enhance uptake and scalability. Next slide, please. Looking at some of the positive impacts, or how this digital platform will contribute to the agri space. First and foremost, it will facilitate timely distribution and narrowing of the last mile gap for delivery of inputs to farmers. It will also improve access to information by policymakers for planning, better resource allocation, and also decision making. Also cognizant of the possible limitations, especially in the context of South Sudan, issues of poor network coverage, low connectivity, affordability, for instance, of the gadgets, phones, but also low literacy levels that might also affect adoption and scalability. There are also limitations in the area of data security. Also, the fact that there are no standards and regulation on data privacy and protection in the country. This might prove to be an impediment to the rollout and scalability. But nevertheless, there's an effort to create wide awareness and sensitization among key actors in the agri sector. This strongly involves, stakeholder engagement processes to address some of these gaps, some of the challenges, and also to build on the recommendations into these platforms. There's also a great effort in policy advocacy. This is to support the idea of a strong buy-in from the government, but also support the aspects of regulations and standards for data policy. Also importantly is capacity building for all the actors that are involved. And lastly but not least, the project also has is placing more effort in the aspect of handover strategy. Already there's a server that has been set up at the ministry, and we are working on a phase out process to hand over these platforms. And in doing so, we are capacitating the government officials to not only manage these systems, but also maintain their use and sustainability. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for this really focused presentation. So now, last but not least, Dr. Itzinger from the Alliance of Biodiversity International in SEAT, over to you to share the experience of Alliance Biodiversity International with leveraging digital tools to address resilience. Over to you.
Yes, thank you. Please confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. So, yeah, my name is Anton Eitzinger. I'm a scientist at the Alliance Biodiversity International in SEAT. And what I would like to talk today is presenting a platform that we are developing as a pilot currently in 2 countries, in Kenya and Cameroon, where we focus about using digital infrastructure, using a mobile phone-based app for community and farmer-led tree restoration of degraded landscapes. So we are focusing basically how we can improve resilience of farmers by planting trees. So our user story, or like a little bit context for you, is so My Farm Trees is a platform to promote tree cover using a native species, especially at the farm level. And what we are doing is we are monitoring it and protocoling it from the full life cycle, from seed collection, when the high quality seeds get to nurseries and get grown up to small trees, and then they are transferred to farms, handed over to farmers, and then we do a verification and monitoring and in defined time sets, like say like every 6 months or every year, we're coming back and we're checking if the tree is okay. And based on that monitoring, a farmer is getting a payout. So this was basically our setting up the scene, how we want to do a digital platform, how we can monitor all these steps, these 4 steps. The platform is funded by the Global Environmental Facility, and it's implemented by EUCN, and the Alliance is executing the project. So we are basically developing the app, and we are doing also all the fieldwork and piloting in the 2 countries. So what is our lessons learned, or what is our results where we stand right now? So we have developed a system where we can use, based on QR codes that we use from the seed collection, so we can track back every tree that is planted on a farm. We can track back through which nursery did it go, and from what's the collection side of the seed where it comes from. So we have taken an approach where we focus really on making it from a usability perspective as easy as possible for the user on the mobile phone app. So we have basically developed 3 apps. One for the collectors, which is very simple, just starting and collecting seeds and just taking a picture, GPS coordinate, and some simple variables. Then we have another one for the nursery, where they basically check in the collected seeds, and then they take care of planting the small seedlings and handing them over then to the farmers. And then we have My Geo Farm, where the farmer basically plants the tree on his farm, so it's registered, and then he's maybe registered as a beneficiary of this tree for the payouts. And then there's in frequent time steps, we are doing a monitoring, and we are verifying if the tree is the status of the tree, and this is then triggering a payout that is sent to the farmer by mobile money systems. Like in Kenya, this is M-Pesa, and in Cameroon, we are going to use Orange system. So this is basically, and we also store all the verification steps, and the monitoring is stored in a blockchain. So how do we scale, or what is our approach to get this as a very big platform, as big as possible? So we have a lot of scaling partners in these countries. So currently in Kenya and Cameroon, but also starting in Burundi. And we have a long pipeline already of other countries that are interested. So we have partners in Ethiopia and Burundi, Cote d'Ivoire, Benin, Uganda, Madagascar, and then also in Asia, we are going to start work this year in India, Malaysia, Laos, and Vietnam. What is the sustainability of our platform? So it's currently a research project and pilot, but we have decided to use an existing digital framework, our platform framework, that has a very high scalability possibility because it's running on a cloud environment. We have adopted an approach where we can very easily create channels for all the different projects and regions, and specific partners can take over stewardship, so they basically are funding a channel, and then it's free for the farmers and for the collectors and for everyone. And we are also working on how we can make this system as an open source system that can be self-hosted by our partners. I stop now because I think we are short of time.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Isinger, and also all the speakers for your insightful, inputs and contribution. I think now we are ready to move forward with the discussion. We'll take an extra 5 minutes, so we have 10 minutes for the discussion, and we close at 4 and past 5 minutes. So I would like to invite, participants to maybe take the floor and then ask if they have any questions. But I see already one question in the Q&A. It's for South Sudan. Yes, Mr. Nyombe. The question from is on the mobile use. Is it a FAO system or another provider? Mr. Thomas, do you want to take the floor and maybe elaborate on the question?
Thank you so much. I actually wanted developer of the mobile app which they are currently using indicated that they've gotten a farmer registration mobile app which they're registering the farmers. So I find out it is an FAO product, or maybe it's another provider who has developed that mobile app. Maybe I'm just asking a situation whereby we might want to use it here in Zimbabwe, because and I just wanted to find out more details concerning the mobile app and how it functions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Nyombe, do you want to respond?
Yeah, I'll try to respond. Yeah, thank you so much for that very good question. For South Sudan, so we're not starting from the scratch. There has been an effort, but of course, and this is through the government. They had, for instance, there was some ongoing work on digital system, but also more focus on beneficiary registration called the MIS. But then we were now looking at how do we improve the system, but more importantly, how do we introduce other features, and this is another way of also looking at how do we promote digital agriculture, digital platforms in the agri space. And so through FAO, we were able to engage a consulting firm. This was from Nairobi, and basically to look at what we're trying to do, the features we're trying to put in place, and give us the guidance to how to set up these mobile applications. So as we speak now, a number of these have already been developed. We have rolled out this, but not fully, because we're still doing some bit of tests. I think when we have it up and running, we should be able to share this with other colleagues. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other questions from the floor? Yes. Ken, you want to come in?
Yes, I have a question to Anton. So thank you, Abesho, for the opportunity. So my question is, the solution that you are using in the mobile app is very interesting. I've seen that it is promoting transparency in the seed sector. So I would like to know if, for example, another organization is interested in using your platform, how do you think this is possible? What would be the conditions? Thank you.
Yes, so we, as I said, maybe there was not a lot of time to explain, but as I said, we are using an existing platform that our organization has developed over the last 5 years, and we're also working through a private sector partner who is hosting this platform. So that's why I'm saying it's sustainable in its operation, and we can easily also create new channels. So we call them project channels. So we create, it's an area of interest. It can be a country, or it can be even a different system. So we could also not just using tree seeds, we could also think about other agriculture systems that can be managed through this system. So it's a very generic tool, let's say, and we have really tailored it for this context of tree restoration and for using it for monitoring this ongoing approach. But it's basically coming from agriculture systems. So we have used it, for example, during the long time of the climate change agriculture and food security program, CCAPs. We have used it for monitoring of climate smart agriculture activities on farm. So it's so we can, as it can be used very quickly to a different country. So we have, that's why I mentioned this long list of pipeline that we're going to start this year. But there's also possibility to discuss how it can be adapted for other usages. So yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for this exciting discussion. Maybe I have one question for the speakers. In terms of harnessing these digital tools, and in terms of scaling up these tools in the different contexts and countries, are we well prepared, or do we have the capacity to do that, or is there any issues that you like to put forward in terms of recommendation for leveraging, harnessing these tools for emergency and preparedness in food crisis context?
Maybe I may start, and then my colleague can contribute if possible. So yeah, I think we are getting prepared. We are not fully prepared, and when I say we, I mean all stakeholders generally in the Africa region. Because in some cases we have tools that, for example, international partners or even sometimes on local partner may promote. But these tools in many cases are not sustainable, particularly after the project stops or after the funding is no more available. Generally, the project stops, so the platform is not used. So we have that issue of the sustainability of the platform that we really need to look at, and how we strengthen the commitment from the government to take over those platforms, how we make sure that they are in good condition, that they have the capacity to take over the platform, how we make sure that they are so committed that they see this really as their challenge, their issue, their solution. These are things that we really need to strengthen. Also, to finish with, I think there are a lot of solutions that are out there, but we are not maybe promoting enough, sharing enough best practices, lessons learned, so that others may learn from them and adopt them or adapt them as needed. This is maybe what I may share. Over. Thank you.
I can add to our specific context of coming from a research organization. Our biggest challenge is actually we are very good in piloting and prototyping, but if we want to reach scale with our tools and digital innovations, we need partners. We need, so for technology is often a private sector partner that can help us really to make a sustainable operation of a tool. But also, like in this case, we need national partners to really that they take off or they take our solution and then really be our promoters or our stewards in countries, because we are doing the research, and at some point we need to hand over to someone that can make it sustainable and scale. So that's, I see, it's a little bit of a challenge for us, and over the years we have developed hundreds of tools, and this is it's getting a challenge because you cannot maintain them, as you say, after a project ends. So you need to find a very smart solution how you can get it to the market or get it to the users in the long term. It's still not there's still no answer and solution for me, but it's the biggest challenge currently.
Yeah, maybe I can just briefly add from the Somalia context or our experience. I'd say one of the things that we've seen, and we've really made sure that we look at critically, is the issue of localization of technologies or contextualizing technologies or tools. And from our experience, we've realized that if we make our solutions or our tools user-driven, so that they are the ones that drive the direction that the creation of those tools take, then we are able to have tools that can be used for quite a long time. And in other scenarios, we've had other tools that have been, maybe we've adopted them from elsewhere without looking into trying to make them to fit into our local context. Then we've had challenges. But also, having said that, I think it's also very important to ensure that there's a lot of collaboration across the board with very many stakeholders to make sure that we don't duplicate what has already been done elsewhere, but we can adopt and maybe customize and just contextualize it to fit our local situation and local environment. Thank you.
If I can also just quickly share our experiences for South Sudan. I think for South Sudan, in terms of scalability, well, for certain features, for instance, the e-registry and the voucher management, already we were in a transition, and so we're trying to build the structures within the FAO portfolio in the country, but also the capacities to be able to support the rollout of these these platforms. But of course, central to this, or very critical to this, is the strong buy-in from the government. And again here, this was also a strong call from the government, and we believe this was enough to really push this agenda forward. But also another thing that I believe that will be very important is also how we approach the aspect of sustainability, looking at creating awareness, sensitization, but more importantly, building on the capacities on the different actors within the agri space. Thank you.
Okay, I think thank you very much, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for taking time to join this important discussion. And I would like to acknowledge again our speakers. Thank you for your invaluable contribution. We have discussed a breadth of ITC-based application for farmer registration, e-platforms for extension services, vouchers, and early warning systems and natural resource management systems for identification and targeting of vulnerable farmers during crisis, but also passing information for farmers against risk and threat to agricultural production and the environment. As you said, these are platforms that can be deployed for rapid response into emergency, but also preparedness, and contribute to resilience agri-food system. We have also discussed, the sustainability issue, looking on contextualizing the technologies, looking at ownership and capacities at the local level, and also looking for partnership to build on this, leveraging these platforms for use at scale and reaching out, a large number of farmers and extension agent. So thank you very much for really the fruitful discussion. And I think on behalf of FAO, I would like to thank you for your participation, and have a good evening for those in East Africa and Southern Africa, and good afternoon for those in West Africa, and good day to those who might be on the other side of the Atlantic.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Abe.
Thank you.
And yeah,
Thank you.
bye-bye all.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
colleagues.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.